So welcome everyone. Welcome everybody. Hey, it works. So, a massive welcome to you all. Chris and I are a little bit excited to see everybody, aren't we? Basically, when we plotted this church planting and pioneering conference at the very beginning, we basically sat down and thought, what can we do to gather all the people that we really like and put them in one room and let them meet each other. And so that was the kind of start of our idea, really, wasn't it?
It was.
So it's amazing to see you all here. Thank you for coming. You're all the keen bunch because you guys snapped up the tickets so quickly, and that which is brilliant. So thank you for coming and being enthusiastic about being here. This is our conference on, as I say, church planting and pioneering. And Chris and I are part of Emmanuel Theological College, and so this conference is brought to you by Emmanuel, but also the Estates Evangelism Task Group and the NENC, and the fact that you've got it for such a bargain and you've got an amazing gift bag that's probably worth more than the ticket that you paid. We know how to make friends. That is largely down to the church commissioners who have massively supported this financially to make it accessible and financially available to everybody. So huge thanks to them as well.
Indeed.
Yes.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I think when I was imagining this about 3 years ago, and it's been a while in the making, I guess one of the things I hoped for as someone who's worked in estates, pioneering and planting in one estate for the last maybe 24 years, I just thought, if this could be a place where we could build friendships together. Shall I use the other mic? Sorry, I have to hold microphones. If this could be a place where we could build some friendships together, renew old friendships. So for me, just looking around that room before and everyone's chatting with each other, that brought joy to my heart. And just to hear stories, to be inspired by each other's stories. One of the things I'm convinced of is that, especially those who are working in the estates of our country, there's so much learning to be had, and we need to spread those stories, and we need to share that learning, and that's one of the main things that we want to do from these 24 hours together. I hope there'll be a sense of encountering God together as well. There's going to be prayer, will be worship, time to do that together, to inspire and encourage each other. We have packed this 24 hours quite full. So what I hope is there'll be little glimpses of different things. There'll be a story here, there'll be a person you'll hear who you think, I really want to connect with that person because I only heard 10 minutes of their story, but I want more. So there'll be space at the lunch times and other times in the bar later. We've got fire pits down on the green bit. So there's just opportunities everywhere where we can... I've brought marshmallows as well and skewers, so just to let you know. Another thing that I've tried to do is just bring together as wide a range as possible of people who are pioneering, people who are planting different kinds of styles, because I'm just convinced that we've got so much to learn from each other, and so I want us to, oh, someone doesn't agree, I want us to just be in the same room and hear each other's stories and hear each other's learning as we step out and do new things in a state context. Like Claire said, you've got 2 free books. One of the books, which is Al Barrett's book, Finding the Treasure, he's going to do a little launch later on, just kind of at the back end of what I call tea, but some of you might call it dinner, depends where you're from, but it's definitely tea time. So Al's going to be in here with a kind of optional, an optional things for you to come to, a little book launch for that. The other one is my book, Not Forgotten, which I hope you enjoy. There's also, we're going to introduce Andre Adifope in a minute, but Andre has kindly brought a number of copies of his book, which he might tell us about, that you can also have for free, but it's basically the first 40 people who grab it from that table. That's available to you as well. And the final thing I wanted to say before I hand back to Claire is that I'd love this to be a catalyst for more stuff, so a little glimpse of what could be. I'd love to explore ways that we could support each other better as we do this work and encourage each other more. One of the main things I find working with pioneers and planters across the country really is that there's a lot of loneliness and there's a lot of sense of who else understands me, and the more I'd love to just spend the next few years trying to connect people together a lot more. So do feed back to me about that if you're interested in what could be next.
Thanks, Chris. You forgot to mention that you've brought some of your books as well for sale, yes, haven't you?
Oh yeah, if you want to buy any, because you've got a free one, but it's good, the good presents as well. Mums like them especially. That's one of my main feedback from my books. So my first book is a £5 if you want to buy that, and if you want more copies of the new one, that's £10. So just come and see me if you want any of them.
Yeah, that's no problem. So they are on the table there, but just note the difference that you were worried, weren't you? Everyone had just run off of them, getting them muddled up with Andre's book. Yeah. Last thing I think from me is, the other thing is we're doing a panel, aren't we, tomorrow? So if you've got questions for the panel, you can put those in the box as well. And I've forgotten what you just showed me. Podcast. You may have found we're going to do a podcast off the back of this as well. Again, just different ways of hearing different people's stories. So that's something to look out for. It's on your pad. If you just search the Not Forgotten podcast, in those places you'll find it. So just lots of ways for us to keep connected, not just in this 24 hours, but kind of beyond as well. Brilliant. So I think that was like the longest church notices I've ever done, and my goodness, I can tell you I've done some long ones. I'm going to put this down. Can you still hear me? So we wanted really the very first thing that we do together not to be notices. That's just the housekeeping. This is the real beginning. And the very first thing that we wanted to do was to gather in worship. At Emmanuel, part of our vision and ethos is about being Christ-centered, hope-filled, and mission-orientated. And as we were praying just before the beginning of this meeting, we just got a sense that somebody had a picture about leaving baggage at the door. It can be really exhausting, can't it? We carry with us lots of things from our context, our family lives, our home lives, our sort of church environments, our communities, and it can just weigh heavy on us, can't it? And so there's a picture really about like leaving the baggage at the door and stepping into this place, and that God is that this is a place of joy and creativity and fun and of play. That was maybe something that God's going to do over the next 24 hours. And I keep coming back to that phrase in Scripture that the joy of the Lord is our strength. And so that's my prayer for us over this 24 hours, that we find a bit of joy, that we have some fun together. And we do that in the context of worship and celebrating who Jesus is, that as we gather around him, wherever we gather from, we come together into the same space. And so we gather in worship at his feet and in his joy, and to celebrate him and all that he's doing. And so we are going to have a time of worship together. And over the course of our time together, there'll be different ways that we'll worship. This evening is taken from the Celtic daily prayer.